Welcome to my next video build. It's the well-known X-WING Starfighter from Bandai in 1/72 scale. In this video I will build the model, improve the cockpit, create a custom color scheme, 3D print a handful of droids and will bring everything together into a small diorama. You are watching Scalar Den, and now let's open the box. The kit impresses with very good details and the usual quality for Bandai. The plastic parts are pre-colored, a pilot figure is included and the markings come as decal or sticker. A small Death Star base is also included and the model can be displayed standing or in flight. All in all, a kit that can be highly recommended. The construction starts with the wings. It always takes me a while to get used to the Bandai instructions, but the construction is basically very simple. The parts are well marked and fit together perfectly. If you don't deviate from the construction steps, no problems should arise. Similar parts are usually made so that they only fit in a certain place. To simplify later painting, you should think about which parts you might want to paint before assembly. I would do this with the engine intakes next time. After the two wing segments are finished, parts of the cockpit and fuselage are built. There are no problems here either, and the construction is progressing well. The two wing sections remain movable, unless you accidentally glue them in place. The fuselage is now brought together and the clear parts are masked for painting. Now to the cockpit. I would like to show the X-Wing standing with the cockpit canopy open. Therefore I will improve some details and make the painting and weathering as varied as possible. I use different British World War II colors for the cockpit and canopy. These grey tones go well together and you can vary them easily. For the instrument decals I use setting solution. It takes time, but in the end everything works out as expected. To improve the cockpit details I used leftover PE parts from previous projects. If you don't have the ambition to recreate the studio model, you can let your creativity run free. Smaller details are painted with a brush. I use acrylic paints for this. The interior weathering is done with various filters. Afterwards, everything is sealed with a matte layer of clear varnish. The finished cockpit parts are now brought together. I'm very happy with the results so far. Now the model is further assembled and prepared for painting. I leave as few parts as possible separate. The assembly is very easy and all parts fit very precisely. Sometimes you need a little more pressure, because the kit is designed to be snap fit. The droid should be installed now, as the sliding panel will hold it in place. Otherwise, like me, you have to trim the droid a bit later. To cover the cockpit while painting, I use the additional canopy included. Before we start painting, please support the channel with a thumbs up or subscription if you like the content. Thank you. First, the model was cleaned with isopropanol. Now a grey primer is applied in thin layers. The extreme metal titanium works well on grey for my purpose. If you need more shine, use a glossy black base. For the main color I use light grey. I then modulate the color on some panels with a mix of light grey and off-white. As with my previous Bandai Star Wars builds, the A-Wing and Y-Wing, I wanted to create my own design. This time I chose orange as the effect color, and I needed a little more masking tape. I followed the existing panel lines and tried to create an authentic color scheme. My son's Lego X-Wing helped a little. Do you enjoy removing masking tape as much as I do? Let me know in the comments. It's time for masking tape again. I prepare individual panels and hatches to paint them with different shades of grey. The X-Wing has many beautiful details. It's worth taking a little more time and highlighting this. For this I again use acrylic paints that are applied with a brush. Here a first filter is used to highlight structures. The previous work is then sealed with a matte clear varnish to provide a basis for further weathering. The Rebel Alliance wasn't known for having the cleanest chips, therefore the X-Wing needs a proper weathering. I start with a complete wash using Abteilung oils in 2 different shades. This is primarily used to highlight the panel lines and simulate dirt accumulation. After a short drying time, the wash is wiped off with a kitchen towel and a few cotton swabs. By cleaning some parts more than others, you get a nice contrast. The main colors are now faded by applying the oil paint directly and gradually blending it with a dry brush. You can repeat these steps or wipe off the oil paint completely and start again. This technique is therefore also suitable for beginners. Again, different filters are used to achieve better color variation and to give the eye more to do when looking at the model. In 1/72 scale I prefer filters because they can be applied directly. You don't have to dilute them like most washes. The final weathering step is dry brushing with a metal shade oil paint. A final sealing layer is applied before the missing parts are installed. The external parts were weathered just like the rest of the model. The canopy is polished and placed into position. The X-Wing is now finished and waiting for its diorama base. A very satisfying project so far. I prepared the picture frame with foam for the diorama base. Next I cut a corkboard to size on which the actual diorama will be created. I measured and sketched the orientation of the model. As accessories I found free-to-use 3D printed parts and also arranged them. The cork was sealed with a mix of white glue and water to ensure better adhesion for the structural pastes. The AK Terrain series is very helpful if you want to quickly create different surfaces. This time I used concrete and earth. I marked the concrete slabs with a razor saw. Additional damage makes the base look more interesting and helps with later painting. I used an acrylic black primer for the base and the accessories. The coverage of the concrete paint was not very good. I had to apply many coats until I was happy with the result. I tried to achieve different shades with dark and light tones. Painting the markings, accessories and droids took some time, but perfection wasn't necessary here. I wanted to show an authentic Rebel base that has received little care and maintenance. For the weathering of the base I again used various filters and washes. I worked wet and wet and mixed the colors into each other. After attaching some bushes of grass, I applied pigments. These give the terrain a much more realistic look. Unfortunately, the sealing clear varnish cancels out some of this effect. After the clear coat dried, I used AK puddles for the first time. An interesting product for quickly creating puddles. Only the surface should be sealed, otherwise it will leak. Now it's time to bring everything together. I really had a lot of fun building this little diorama. I think in the future I will build more models with the base. If you liked the video, please support the channel as you wish. I'm always happy to receive a nice comment and hope you enjoy the final presentation.